We opened up 5 locations in 15 months. It was a mistake. It should have been 2, maybe 3, but not 5. We only had one closure. We identified that closure quick and just sucked it up and closed the restaurant. We reacted late on it and didn't. I mean, we got it now. We needed them throughout the whole process. And because we didn't have that, we struggled with consistency and had to see some stores suffer and then build them back up.
Welcome to The Bottom Line, the podcast that brings you real stories behind real restaurants. In each episode, we explore the decisions, systems, and stories behind the most successful restaurants out there in the market. No fluff, no hype. Just real operators, real challenges, and real advice from people who know how to get results. Let's get to the bottom line.
Thank you everyone for joining me in the Bottom Line podcast. Joining me today is an operator from Houston, Brooks Bassler from BB's Tex-Orleans. This is a very unique concept. They created the Tex-Orleans Cuisine. They have 13 locations. Most of them are in Houston, and there is one in San Antonio. Brooks, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Could you talk to us about the inspiration behind the concept, how it came to be, why people love BB's?
Yeah, absolutely. I went to the University of Houston and started waiting tables here at an early age because I had to get by in college, and fell in love with the business when I was very young and knew right away that it's something that I wanted to do. And my career path was started there, and I haven't done anything else but work in restaurants, and it's kind of all I know. But when the time came, I did open the business when I was 27. And when that time did come, my approach was a little different. I just knew I needed to do it. And I really I was very lucky to learn the catering business early on. And that was huge for me. And so when my mindset was when I opened that I knew I could be catering to get going. And I had some customers and I knew that I could kind of pull that off. I had no clue what kind of food we were going to sell. So I signed the lease without having a menu. And then I thought about, okay, what I want to do, what's going to be my concept, talk to a lot of people who I admire and various mentors. And also when I was working as a waiter and being young, I was always eating late, and I was always very discouraged about the late night options of dining. And so I came up with this wild idea to say, you know what, I'm going to be the best person in this neighborhood at late night dining. And we opened up super late. We caught all the different waves, including the people, the industry folks that actually closed down the bars. And so my family's from South Louisiana, and I loved going there as a young kid. It was very, very simple life. It was about gatherings and being together, and food being the center of that. And so I fell in love with the culture of South Louisiana. And of course the food, because it's absolutely just delicious. And so that kind of inspired the Cajun side, the New Orleans side of it. I said, okay, well, what do you want to be known for? And settled on po' boy shop. We're going to be a late night dining po' boy shop. And that's what we did. And it took us a while to get going, but about year 3, things really started to click. We had that late night dining niche, and it was just growing like crazy. Every month the sales were just bop, 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 bop. Only a 9-table restaurant. So it was really small. Could really keep my arms around it. 32 seats, at the highest occupancy, focused on to go and deliveries, and catering was that was about 30% of our business in the early days. And we were just really doing well late night. I decided I need to expand, get to the second location, and it's a bust. It doesn't work. And so
what didn't work?
Nothing worked. But what was interesting was when we were struggling with it, and when we were struggling with it, I also had the best opportunity in my life presented to me at the same time. And so I was very conflicted about what to do, because I had one restaurant that was basically providing me a living, is what it was doing. And then I had one restaurant that was just kind of sucking that up, and we were fighting to break even, and we'll lose money and break even, lose money, break even, lose money, break even. Well, that went on for 2.5 years.
Was it the location that
it was in downtown Houston?
Got it.
At 509 Louisiana. It's a parking lot now. The landlord came to me, and we realized that we couldn't get our structural permit. So I kind of had an out, and the landlord, I figured he was going to play nice with me. But as I was losing my shirt on that deal, the best opportunity of my life presented to me through the form of a potential opportunity for expansion in an A+ location. And I couldn't believe that I had an opportunity on this location. And I figured out how to piecemeal it together. And that was probably one of the most biggest accomplishments of my life, because if I hadn't taken that risk at that time, and it was it was a challenging time to take the risk because for obvious reasons.
One location isn't working out. It's sucking the cash flow.
One location is losing money essentially. The other one I'm making a living on, sort of. And I didn't have any money, so I had to figure out how to get it. You know.
And how did you get in touch with the folks with this A+ location? Like how?
It was a friend of mine. It was a friend of mine I went to college with. It was his younger brother. He said, "Man, I'm going to show this to you first because I know it's going to go fast." I was like, "Damn, bro, I don't have no money. I don't know how to do. How can I do it?" But fortunately, I was very scrappy and I didn't need a lot then, so we pulled it off. And that location was just out the gate making money. And so I was like, "Oh man, this feels awesome. I got money now. I can start doing things. I can like actually think about hiring people to do my job."
At that time, did people in Houston crave the po' boys?
Yeah,
or
we
did
had
you
a
have
lot
to
of success
teach them?
with the po' boys. We did, but when we opened that third location, I guess you can call it, my phone started ringing and the customers wanted something different. They were asking about boiled crawfish, and I've always catered boiled crawfish, and it got to the point where I had to do it. I had to give the customers what they wanted. We're known now. I'm almost certain we sell more live boiled crawfish than anybody in the country.
Wow.
That's one of our go-tos. It's 25% of our revenue off of one item here in the Houston market. It's pretty cool.
When you introduced crawfish, did you have to change the concept from a more like a takeout concept?
That was already happening where we were kind of going, okay, well, po' boys are great and all, but we figured that at the end of the day, it wasn't going to get us where we wanted to go. So we had to start looking at how we kind of evolve the menu. And so we've been doing that slowly, and now we got it too big and we're going, oh crap, we got to scale this thing back down.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a kind of a constant juggling act, so to speak.
I want to show the audience the menu and the vibe. So first and foremost, BB's Houston area, one in San Antonio, and locations are here: Briar Grove, Cypress, Energy Corridor Heights, Monroe's, Katy, Upper Kirby, Pearland, Oak, Forest, Kingwood, Tomball, Webster, and San Antonio. And the menu is very rich. Let's take a look at one location's menu.
Good word.
The boil. Ooh,
the boil
I want
is something
this.
That pumps out a lot of sales for us. The boil does.
I love it. I wish they invented, teleportation. I would go teleport to one of the locations right now. Wow. Amazing.
Well, when you're in Houston, you come on, man.
Absolutely. I opened a restaurant in Dallas. I spent months in Dallas.
Oh, okay, cool. Very cool.
Primarily seafood menu looks great, and like the appetizer.
Yeah, a lot of seafood. I mean, seafood's probably 70% of our revenue. We pump out of seafood.
Oh, this is.
But you can see the menu kind of was this. We always had this Texas influence on Cajun food. Like, I mean, on the first menu, I had fajita beef, and I was making a fajita beef po' boy with queso and onions on it. And so that it's always been kind of a part of our soul, was just kind of this like unintentional kind of Texas influence on it, which a big influence of Texas food, if not the biggest, is Tex-Mex, so
yeah.
We do have some very small elements of that. I mean, we got Cajun empanadas on there, which is kind of a little Latin kind of fusion. We got Boudin taquitos and, fajita meat and of course the boiled seafood here. This is our jam on the boiled crawfish. People just go nuts about it.
Of course,
our bar program is
it's
frozen drinks and sweet, pretty kind of colorful drinks. Atmosphere is very laid back, casual. Our core customers between 20 and 50 and middle class. A lot of hourly wage earners. Great place to be. We love it.
And the restaurant is open from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m.
The hours change. My
location.
Montrose location is the one that's still late. Actually, it's until 4 a.m.
Wow.
Yeah. It's the spot to go late night in Houston. We're the best restaurant in Houston. We're the best late night dining restaurant in the city. I don't care what anybody says.
Of course. And how do you manage I don't want to take you away from telling the story with the question. We can revisit all of these like individual compartments. So with the third location, you're in the third location. This amazing opportunity presented itself. A plus location. You somehow you were able to do it, and all the amazing entrepreneurs that I talked to, there came a point that very few people could accomplish what they accomplished because everybody had that moment, like where to reach to 10. There comes a time that you have to push through the bottleneck, some kind of a bottleneck, and make your way and then the success opens up after that.
Its own set of challenge, but it felt like finally, which was probably 4 years later, is when that break happened. I was like, I could start hiring some people that are highly skilled, because now I have this cash that I didn't have before, and I didn't care. I didn't need to make a lot of money. So I went and sourced 2 really good operators at that point. So yeah, that was a big investment, and they participate in our profit sharing, and they have since day one, and they've always been very well compensated for what they do. And so I think that I was smart, just kind of stepping back and going, okay, where do I want to be? Do I want to have 3 locations? Because if I just want 3 locations, I can do this.
Yeah.
And I'll make
on the day-to-day
amazing jack, and more money I ever thought I'd make, or do I want to grow and take it to the next level and really start, focusing on the people side of it, and growing people and locations, of course. So I chose the latter. So that means hiring 2 good hires because I was kind of winging it to some extent at that point. And so I brought in one guy that was really good at food and beverage, and he just buttoned up our systems, on this is how we're going to order food. This is how we're going to make prep decisions. This is where we're going to keep the food and how we're going to keep it and the utensils we're going to use, and just got a super, streamlined in the back with consistency.
I love it. Consistency is always the key. The key to the success and scaling up.
And there's so many ways that it can go off,
So many ways.
So, and even if you have a bulletproof system, you're still relying on somebody,
Yeah, because each and single task is done by somebody. Receiving,
that's right.
like the hostess greeting people, the server taking orders and taking care of the customers, the guy who is boiling the crawfish. Everything is done by a person, and most of these tasks are not supervised. So you rely on that person. Money relies on it, right? Because something is ordered, it's delivered, something is used, prepped, and training, and how much they care becomes paramount. Even if one has the best SOPs, best systems in place, you still need to get people. That's the other side of the coin. They need to perform at the highest of the levels, and they show their training. If they are not trained, they don't perform well. If they are trained well, if they are taken care of, compensation-wise, they are given the tools to be successful, then they excel. And I think that's the kind of an environment that's most rewarding, like people achieve their potential.
That's right. Yep. That's what it's about. And, the people piece, it's literally as simple and as difficult as that.
Mm-hmm.
Is one of our core values in our company is ownership mentality. And when you have a leader at the store that takes ownership in their store, their team takes ownership in their store. And it's a trickle down effect. And if we can teach our, lower level folks, our entry level folks to understand what it means to own your job, the training happens organically, because we've chased our tail on training, and it's so important, but it's so difficult because you're relying on someone to do it. And hindsight being bullseye for me, I would really train my management team first. And I feel like every young store, especially, they're so focused on server training and this and that. Where, man, if you got a good server that has the personality, like, they're going to be able to pull it off, It's like if you got the right server, and even without an extensive training program, yes, not saying that's not important, but having the right manager trained is more important.
That's right. It's because that guy is actually managing the location on your behalf.
That's right.
And there are a million things every day that's happening. I understand exactly what you mean. That's also important in a way that not everything bounces back to you. Anything that's remotely, like slight bit of out of the day to day, like HVAC doesn't work or something, like you shouldn't be receiving the call.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you got to have a culture where your folks are comfortable making decisions, because otherwise you're going to be completely ineffective. And I've been there, but you got to get that ownership down to the, ground level. So that AC breaks, boom, I'm calling. They're going to take ownership and get someone out as fast as possible to get it fixed for the best price.
Yeah. And the guy who realizes that it doesn't work in the evening needs to communicate to somebody.
That's right.
They communicate to the manager. Manager takes care of it immediately.
So many times they don't, though, and you're like, come on.
Yeah, amazing. So you have 3 locations at that time. You hired 2 super successful operators. They brought in additional knowledge, skill. They streamlined the operations and such.
Yep. Streamlined it. And we were growing at a pretty good little tick, and it's hard to grow when you're small. It's hard to swallow that, that pill of trying to stay couple of steps ahead on the manpower because it's so expensive.
That's right. And
and so
we're open for so many hours.
Yeah,
you've been so many hours of the day.
We juggle that, and you're like, really, like looking back, I needed another person, a high level person, along the way. And then, you juggle the growth, and you have some successes and some not successes, but you figure out how to keep it all together. And that's what we did between locations 4 through 9. 2020 got out of COVID. That we had 9 locations at COVID during COVID, and we got out of that. Really, we reacted very good. We adjusted so quick. It was incredibly hard on the team, but our same store sales were only down 8% on the year.
And you don't have delivery. How did you?
We set up drive-through ops immediately in the parking lot, and we pushed and we pushed and we pushed and we pushed. And we did well through COVID. And so we came out of there and we're feeling good. So in 2021, the end of 2021, in the beginning of 2023, there's a 15-month period where we opened up 5 locations in the 15 months. And it was a mistake. I mean, it should have been 2, maybe 3. We probably could have pulled off 3. But not 5. And so, it took us, we're just now coming out of that. We're just now over 2 years and a couple months later, 2 years and 4 months later, it took us to get out of that mess. Fortunately, we only had one closure. And we identified that closure quick and just sucked it up and closed the restaurant.
Very smart thing to do.
Yeah.
And was it the training, basically providing, the right amount of training for the new folks?
Yeah. We had a training program, a training director. We didn't. But, like I said, looking back, was just staying a step ahead on at least a GM and above person. In our case, to pull out 5, really, I needed 2 more high level people, like, 150 plus K a year guys. I need 2 more of those to pull it off. And we reacted late on it and didn't. I mean, we got it now, but we needed them throughout the whole process. And because we didn't have that, we struggled with consistency and had to kind of see some stores suffer and then build them back up.
We opened up 3 restaurants. I have 2 new and 1 reopening in 2021. 1 in Beverly Hills, 1 in Dallas, and 1 reopening in New York. And at the same time, like New York was shut down. And you can consider this another like reopening. Like we were, 250 going into COVID, but 3 locations going in. Maybe then close to 300 people. Yeah, 300 people. 3 locations. We went to COVID, went down to like 15.
Yeah.
And I'm working at 22 hours every day. We have 10 leases, 10 leases throughout the country, and some of which are like super expensive leases.
Yeah.
And then the ownership team basically put their foot on the brake in terms of on the development. At the same time, I'm negotiating with the landlords. At the same time, I'm basically holding off on the development, but at the same time, 10, 15 people. We have all the managers, but none of the staff.
So hard, man.
We had to stay afloat, like a lot of like sleepless days.
Yeah.
Opened up the first restaurant in Dallas 2021. The ownership told me we are not opening Beverly Hills for another year, but then they tell me like, yes, we are opening Beverly Hills. You have 6 weeks. The restaurant was under construction. I slowed down the construction to not incur overtime because they told me like it's gonna be another year. They tell me like you have 4 weeks. I'm like, 4 weeks, the restaurant is under construction on the other side of the country. And we are opening at this time. We have 2 restaurants open. We are opening Dallas, which is going to be the 3rd restaurant. And the 4th is going to be Beverly Hills, which means like we are growing at 50% with Dallas.
Perfect.
And then another like 30%. And after that, like almost like doubling within 2 months.
Yeah.
Doubling the size of, so, I can relate to all of these. Yeah. I mean, it's a super interesting industry. We never get the chance to be bored. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, it's been fun. You learn so much along the journey through failures. And that's kind of what keeps it interesting, but it just comes down to people. A training program, if you have a store level leader that owns the training, you have a well-trained team. You can have all the systems and procedures and blah, 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 and formalities you want in a structured thing. And well, guess what? If your GM is not an A player, then your training is going to suck. If your GM's a B player, you're going to have a B training program. If your GM's C, your team's going to be horrible.
And that ownership mentality, like you said, is the most important thing. If that GM owns that restaurant,
that's it, man.
Then your life is going to be significantly different than one who won't. And I see so many operators, what I think like makes restaurant ownership and operations difficult is we are always like between like, maybe not always, but a lot of the decisions comes to like we are squeezed between rock in a hard place. Like none of the decisions are easy or good decisions. You are choosing between bad and worse. So like these GMs, for example, I talked to many restaurants, this guy comes to work, late and, overserved. What do I do? I mean, if you go outside, maybe the guy that they think that the guy that they will hire is going to be another type of this. Like, do I fire this guy? Do I wait 2 months, give him a chance to, this and that? And it's always like nothing is like comes easy. No decision is easy.
Yeah, you're right.
So at this stage now you have 13 locations, which is a huge, huge accomplishment. What in your life changed between like in terms of sourcing, for example, like when you were sourcing for 3 as opposed to 13?
Yeah. Well, throughout our growth, we brought in we created this central kitchen, which is really more of a hub and spoke. I mean, we really just make big purchases on expensive items and then we'll move it out.
Yeah.
It's kind of more of what it plays into. It used to be a full commissary thing and we just didn't like that model. It was,
really?
No, we didn't. We just overlooked the fact that you're in the distribution business, and so that's how we took it. Now we're going the back channel route of it to just move things back to the store, or maybe some items can co-pack and then go through our distributors, because we don't want to be in the distribution business. We're manufacturers of food, so all of a sudden we were manufacturing and distributing product, and it wasn't good. It wasn't a good model for us, but we did have a lot of refrigeration space and storage space that was good. What was a good model for us. So we like that in the local market, especially in Houston. And, we're brought in a couple of consultants on some purchasing stuff to make sure our vendors are upholding their end of the bargain, just to keep them on their toes, and we just kind of stay hands off of that. We figured that we did a really hard one when we had 6 locations and it was more formal. And then after that, our relationship's been fantastic. And every now and then there's just check-ins on pricing and things like that. But for the most part, we found that we don't have any problems with our broadline distributor because of the relationship we have with them. And they know that we're watching, we are
watching. Most important.
We watch it, and we're not afraid to bring in outside eyes, because there's some things that we just bring in outside people for to help us. And that's one of them. We'll just really get in the weeds on that type of stuff.
May I ask this? Do you now have a sales and distribution agreement with the distributor? Basically, this agreement sets up the sales and distribution agreement with the distributor.
Yeah,
this
Cisco Food Services
sets up the rates for how much they are going to charge, like what percentages for each category of the.
I couldn't tell you what it is, but I mean, but I don't know I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Which is for the people listening to this, over a certain size, maybe like 3-4 locations, distributors would be willing to basically put this in place, which is basically then they fix their margins, because if you think about their final price to you is comprised of what they purchase from the manufacturer plus their markup, which is a percentage markup equals to the final price. And they play with the markups in a way that from the restaurant.
Play with it. And it's open. I mean, we see it any time, and that's awesome. An open relationship. It's just having a proactive rep that you trust, I think, is important because she's a partner of ours, and she's always we're going, hey, this what our to-go stuff is, come on, like it's too much. No, give me options. I'm not paying that. I want to see other options. Okay, yeah, we can make that work, and then put it into play. It's like you're just always looking for little savings, but ultimately, there's got to be a great relationship, right? Between, for us, it's our distributor, the rep that carries our account, and our food and beverage, vice president of food and beverage. And they talk more than he wants to. I can promise you that.
That kind of a relationship provides you with solutions, a trusted relationship, right? And with that agreement in place, now the opaqueness of their pricing is gone. Now everything is transparent. You know what you're going to pay. You know what their price is. You basically set the markup. I strongly recommend everyone to do that. And this consultant, how did you find this consultant? And like, what was what kind of a multiple did this person bring to your business?
So I found him. There was a local guy here that just retired, and a friend of mine introduced me to him. And he came in and he's helping me maybe 4 hours a week type deal, mainly on leadership development. But he introduced me to a gentleman named Lee Plotkin who come out to bid because he thinks, that no one's checked these people or anything like that. Right. So we took him out to bid and had a formal RFP process with 5 different broad lines. And these, we ended up saving, I think he provides a percentage of his savings based on a formula that we pre-agreed on. I think it was 20 or 25%, if I'm mistaken. And he ended up saving us about $250,000. Yeah.
Incredible, isn't it? Incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. And saved us $250,000. And then, it might even been more than that, but it was a lot of money.
What I'm hearing is like you basically tap into the people who are going to take the organization forward. You're not afraid to do that with those, like, when you had 3 locations, to bring in those like 2 individuals, 2 resources, or this guy over here, because it's impossible for any operator to know every side of the business, or otherwise this wouldn't be a business. Amazon has how many managers, directors, and vice presidents, each one of them takes, a restaurant isn't a simple operation. 100 things that happen in the restaurant every day, and we can't be the experts on everything. Mm-hmm. Nor we have the time to manage each one of these distinct process. Kudos to you for doing this, bringing this person in, and basically very, very smart decision. Now you know that the pricing is transparent. You save a good amount of money, and they know that if they wrong you, their foot would be put to fire.
That's right. Yep, that's right.
So with the commissaries, like refrigeration space, were you able to make like big time deals with the
Yeah, with wholesalers, really, just things. Yes, some various proteins and crab, but various items where we could just buy bulk, store,
in the season,
move it out, because we're still moving a minimal amount of product out. There's a couple items that we're just kind of hold tight to the chest and just protecting the recipes, and so we still handle that. And we still want to, right? But not too much, just a few items. And then we kind of counter it with the frozen stuff, like snow crab. I mean, we save a lot of money on just because of quantity that we buy.
And it happens.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been good
because you can do it in the season is the most important thing. I just want to make these like nuances so people understand how you're able to do it. When it's basically January or February in like shrimp season, you buy it bulk because they have the shrimp, right? You basically reserve your space, and some distributors do that for you. They basically buy it bulk on your behalf, put their own warehouses, and then they sell you. One can save significant amount of money.
There's so many angles you can take on it. Yeah. With the purchasing side, you just got to be creative, And
just want to make one more distinction for anyone who is listening. Like everybody has taken this like competitive bid process. What a lot of these people are missing from the process that you have done versus what they have done is that service agreement. So, take them to the competitive bid process. Now they undercut their price by 10% just to get your business. What guarantees that 2 months later they won't they get your business and then up the price? What prevents what happens to them versus what happened to you is you basically have the service and distribution agreement in place, so their markups are now fixed. And if somebody is auditing the invoicing and basically manufacturer price plus the markup equals to the invoice price, if that process audited, then they can't be, raising their prices. They can't basically undercut in the bidding process and raise their prices 2 months later. It's because you have all of this under agreement. So I just want to make this nuance that a lot of people could be thinking like, oh, I've done it the same. I didn't get like long lasting savings. So what are they talking about? That's one of the differences in this process.
That's right.
That opaqueness of that final price, because it's a component of two things: manufacturer, markup, final price. If you don't separate these two components, then the final price, if you don't fix on these, then the final price will be an opaque price. Just like, MRI, you'll never know what you will pay for your childbirth or something, right? You ask them and they are like, who knows? And then like 5 months later, you get an invoice.
Exactly.
Healthcare.
Exactly.
So how has the last a few years been treating with rising labor costs, rising food costs?
It's definitely, I would consider a more challenging environment for casual dining. That's for sure. For full service casual dining, I think we're kind of in a pinch point where a lot of people have been buying down, but a lot of people have been buying up too. And so this full service casual dining sector, hold on one second, I'm not saying it's going to die, has been taking a little bit of a pinch. Labor costs, they're finally somewhat more stabilized for us now than they have been. So we've adjusted that. But, there's things like insurance that are just out of control.
Out of control, yeah.
And we're paying that, the tenants, because all the landlords are passing it through. I don't know where, the landlord's not taking on your liability, especially the property stuff and casualty. 1 second. It's just going through the roof, So these leases, when the tenants are paying the taxes and all the insurance and maintenance stuff. And that used to be a small chunk of the rent. Now in some of my leases, it's over half, 60, 70% in some cases. And it's just like, okay, well, what do you do? Because the landlords keep trying to command higher rent. And so I don't know. It's not a favorable condition right now with the combination of property taxes escalating the way they've been escalating here, especially, and insurance was escalating everywhere. So right. I don't consider it a favorable market for that. And even trying to get insurance can be challenging, for right. Full service casual dining. If you sell a little alcohol and have just, not a squeaky clean record, because they want to go high end, the insurance guys, they want to insure the high end folks. That's been a frustrating part of the business that's you just got to deal with. Not much you can do about it.
Very, very good point. So isn't that interesting? Like everybody thinks, managing a restaurant would be about, food and labor costs and all that. But these insurance costs, like in Miami, things have doubled. There are, in some states, the workers' comp has gone up significantly. For example, EPLI insurances have gone up, but primarily the wind and the property insurances, especially down where like there is the risk of hurricanes, like you guys. They've been hit, I think, twice in the last 10 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
In Houston. Florida is unaffordable right now just because of insurance.
It's horrible, man.
How do you manage the labor cost in terms of
we
systems?
Do it through, aside from product, aside from ownership at the store level with the general manager, productivity models, So that's what we do is we have a productivity model where we're looking at that and we know who's performing above the bell curve and who's performing below the bell curve. And the idea is get the bottom feeders up. And so you keep making that bell curve more efficient when you keep pulling the bottom people up. But that's something that's been really helpful for us was just, sales divided by total hours, tracking that trend and putting it in a format that's easy to understand so you can say, hey, look, why is Sarah so productive? But Ryan, you're 10 points off of her, we got to bring you up. Let's look at that. And then from there, shoulder to shoulder work with the district manager and the GMs going, you can only spend this many hours. Let's go figure it out. How and coaching.
Is this on a system, a tech system or like Excel?
Excel.
Excel.
Sales divided by total labor hours.
You must
And
have
that's
some
what we're
good
looking
people.
at. Broken down by category, and we know
Yeah.
where we should be trending in each labor category.
And producing something like that, you must have good people with good Excel.
Yeah. Again, that came from a consultant I hired he came with me for 6 months because I knew I needed that, and I didn't know how to do it, but I knew that someone out there was smarter than me and has done it before. And so
That's amazing.
I had an acquaintance that introduced me to a guy that was in between jobs in Orlando, and he came down and worked with us shoulder to shoulder 5 days a week for six months. He would just fly down during the week, fly back on Thursdays. He'd be here for 4 days and there for 3, and he taught us this whole system. No,
I mean, you tapped into people. Great job, man. Great job.
Thank you.
And how does the company manage the labor, the hours and scheduling and your sales forecast, like that, and because you are open for so many hours, like a percentage, I'm sure like labor cost, like the total dollar value is a big dollar value. So making savings or, reconfiguring that to align with the sales must.
Yeah. For us, everything starts with the forecast, and we're doing that from a lot of intuition and historicals combined, historical sales data. How are you trending? What do you think you're going to sell? Do you have any special events? How's the weather? And so forth, right? And develop a sales forecast, and we're seeing who's off their sales each week and by how far. And whoever's way off, we got to go work with that. Like if their starting formula is wrong, they have no chance, So you got to have the sales right. And we focus in on sales, and we try to get that, really within 5% range, is what we is what kind of our shooting target. And we're good at that. And then from there, we know how many hours we can spend. And then from there, who can be the most creative on spending those hours and still take care of the guest. Now,
Are there slower, like significantly slower hours, say like 2 p.m., 3 p.m. or something like that?
Yeah. And it depends on the time of the year. There's certain times when the tourism's buzzing in Houston where some of your best hours are between 2 and 3.
Right.
And then other times that are more traditional where, I don't know. It's kind of the lunch rush has been weird because it's like your old school Friday lunches. Well, guess what? They don't exist anymore. I mean, you go on a Wednesday lunch or Thursday lunch and they're busier. It's because people working at home and have more flexibility now.
More flexibility.
So you got to watch out for those middays because sometimes they'll pop up on you. We third party it. Third party delivery. It's been a growing part of I'm sure everybody's business.
Yeah. And how do you like the delivery?
We've adjusted. We're not I don't think any operator is a huge, this is the best thing ever, because it's a pain in the ass to deal with and you got to pay commission on it. And now all of a sudden you got to hire a new person that's only over to that because, and you don't tip and, you don't get any tips on that. So that was not like it used to be. It used to be a bartender taking a to-go order, and it was just kind of a little bonus for him. Oh, cool. I made another $20 on to-go orders,
Uh-huh.
Now you got to have a whole person on there, and there's nothing to sign, so there's no tipping mechanism, and it's just an expense you have to absorb, not only the commission, but if you want to do it right, you almost have to have a designated person really focus on that, because a productive bartender can't do that and handle third party on a busy shift. You just can't. And the management can't either and do their job, So that's been a whole nother thing, trying to balance that and figure out when we can get away with not having to schedule that person and when you have to schedule that person, And when you don't schedule that person, you better get ready, because you're going to have to run a little bit harder.
That's right. And have you considered running this on the, like people can order from your website as well as the third party platforms? Have you been like, are you converting to people to order from your website?
It's been something that I've seen a lot of companies go back and forth on it. Our mentality is like, let's just embrace this technology. It's not going away.
Yeah. The great thing is, like, one restaurant that we work with, like, we use this as a customer acquisition tool. Basically, deliveries reach is bigger than where they were known for, and they were getting a small, tiny market share. And through the use of the delivery, they were able to reach out to people who really didn't know about them. And we put them on the first page. Took maybe 1 or 2 months to put them on the first page. then people ordered, then people are like, wow, this is really good burgers. And then they physically started
That's
coming
through
to
the
the restaurant.
DoorDash advertising?
No, just like Uber Eats and stuff, just like organically. Their site wasn't really super duper properly like populated with the pictures and the modifiers and whatnot. We changed that. But what I'm saying is that these third party platforms, I think like if we see that as like a customer acquisition tool and acquire that customer and then put them in your platform.
No, you're dead on,
your
man.
platform.
You're dead on. I mean, it's we're just full on third party and just kind of focused on guest experience inside the restaurant.
Of course.
That's how
because those like boils. Oh my God. Like seeing
really
that
good,
on the tray, having all these like saliva in the mouth, like the mouth watering situation. Oh, I'm looking forward to it.
I'm sure there's probably tons of things that you just were. My company right now is if you know how to crack the code on people, man, please share me that magic wand, my friend, because that's it, man. I feel like it's all about the people.
I met with these amazing restaurateurs like yourself. They are from Hawaii, Seven Brothers Burgers. Amazing family. They, two things that I learned from them. Number one, they announced their like core values. Their values are part of their business.
Yeah.
Their Christian upbringing and the Hawaii, Samoan hospitality and whatnot. So they basically communicate this and eliminate people who are not up to their values. Then the second thing that I really liked is like for 3 days after they hire the folks, like for 3 days they have people shadow rather than training. That way they now understand whether somebody is basically will fit into their car. Just like you said, the ownership mentality. You don't need to be trained to have the ownership mentality. If you see something on the floor, are you picking that up? I'm not saying like they use that as an elimination tool.
Yeah.
But like I definitely see that like even before these people are basically they commit resources on training, they want to see how they behave, whether they're going to show up, all these kinds of things. So those are the two things that I learned from them.
Good stuff, man. I appreciate that.
Which was unique because to me, like my strategy has always been pay them higher dollar, 10 to 15% higher value. Make sure that your employees are talking about your brand positively because it's a small community, right?
Yeah.
I have seen situations when you pay 15% higher, you can't get anyone because people didn't like working there and they made it known to their family and friends so they didn't come back.
That's it, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for sharing these experiences.
I love your passion, man, for the business and your knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, my man. Have a good one. See you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to The Bottom Line. If you found value in today's conversation, make sure you follow, share, and leave a review. Have a question or need a professional's opinion? Then be sure you reach out using the links in the show notes below. New episodes come out every other week, and until then, we will see you next time.